I've got a question for you. Who's the person you're being? Are you satisfied? It's okay. This is a judge-free zone, and it's exactly why I started the show. Welcome to Be the Person, a podcast for the brave and the curious who are ready to explore who they are fully created to be. I'm your host, Annie Randall, the adventurous one leading this investigative journey of transformation. By delving into topics and asking unexpected questions, we will discover the keys for unlocking our true potential and being our best selves today. You may be surprised by what you find when you let go of fear in order to discover the answers of becoming the person you were made to be. Welcome to Be the Person podcast. I'm your host, Annie Randall, and today I'm going to talk to you about what I learned wearing a glucose monitor. And oftentimes I have several different experiments going on myself, things that I'm testing. And one of those over the past several months was to wear a glucose monitor. And I learned a lot of different things. I was very curious about this and have done a lot of research on helping people live a healthy life and a healthy weight. And one thing I noticed is I own Orange Theory fitness locations, and I would talk to members, hear about what they were eating, one, knowing that they weren't eating enough, and oftentimes wondering why they weren't losing weight. Because if we just looked at calories, they definitely should have been. And I knew there had to be more to the equation than just a calorie. And there definitely is. I have a video on YouTube that really goes in depth on this. And it talks a lot about, yes, calories matter, but your insulin level and your glucose levels, they matter a lot too. So does the timing of when you eat your food. So I'll link to that and you can definitely do a deep dive. But today I want to give you 5 tips that really can help you maintain or lose weight. And they're things that I learned from wearing the glucose monitor. A lot of my research, before we do that though, a couple quick things to share with you. A lot of my research came from one of my favorite books. It's called The Obesity Code. It's by Jason Fung, and he's a doctor. He also wrote this book, The Complete Guide to Fasting. A lot of really great information in both of those books, but I knew there had to be more. And so when we look at this, what we know is 2 things have to be true in order for you to burn fat. And that's one first thing is you have to burn through all of the glycogen in your liver and your muscles. And your insulin levels must be low. Well, insulin is low when your glucose levels are low, typically, not always, but we can't measure insulin levels as easily. So if we look at our glucose level, that's as close as we can get right now. And a couple things. I like to think of this as a refrigerator freezer example. So when your muscles are really going to be your refrigerator, your muscle and your liver, and you have to eat everything in that refrigerator in order for you to eat anything in the freezer. In this example, the freezer is the fat. So you have to go through all of the glycogen in your muscles and liver, and then you can access your stored fat. And that's important because, again, you can eat a low-calorie diet, but if you have really high insulin levels all of the time, you're not going to burn your stored fat. It's very, very difficult. And a lot of our low-fat foods have higher carbs and they have more sugar in them. And so the food industry has really tricked us. And low fat doesn't necessarily mean good for you. So here's 5 things that you can do that are super easy. They don't cost money. You don't have to wear a glucose monitor, but let me just tell you what I learned from mine. The first thing is start your meal with veggies. This is going to really have your stomach have fiber in it. And what we know is things with fiber tend to need more time to process in your stomach before they go to your intestine. And so it slows down the amount of time and the spike in your glucose. So start with veggies. And you guys, one easy way to do this is I don't know about you, but when I get home from work, sometimes cooking dinner is the hardest for me because it's when I want a snack. It's when I'm hungry and I just want to eat. And I don't always pick the best snacks. But now what I'll do is I'll just cut up a pepper. I like peppers, they're crunchy, and I'll eat that while I make dinner. So it can just be any type of veggie starter. You can do it before your meal. You can also do it when you sit down to eat. I want you to think about eating your veggies and your protein first. And this is different than what we typically do because think about it. When you go to a restaurant, what's served first? Bread, a lot of times. And if that's the case, you can have the bread, but I want you to eat your veggies first and your protein. Same with wine. So if you're thinking about you're going out to dinner and the bread and the wine are coming, I want you to hold off on that. Again, it's not that you have to limit or tell yourself no all the time because we know that's not going to work. So there may be times that you do say no, but there may be times you say yes, but let's have this salad first and some protein and then eat those things. So veggies first. Then another really easy trick is apple cider vinegar before a meal. Another supplement that you can use is berberine, and it does the same thing. It just really helps stabilize your blood sugar. But apple cider vinegar, you can get a big jar for, I don't know, $5 or $6. And you'll always want to make sure that you dilute it with water because it will take the enamel off of your teeth. But you can do this a couple times a day. Typically, I remember before breakfast, so that's when I do it. And I'll just take a quick shot of apple cider vinegar with some water before breakfast, and it helps lower your blood sugar. There are times too, like when I'm out to dinner and I know there's going to be higher carbs that might spike your glucose. I will also maybe take 2 berberine pills as a supplement. And that can just be an easy way to lower your blood sugar spikes. So those two things are definitely things that work. The third tip I have for you is don't eat naked carbs. Same thing. When that bread basket comes, you're not just eating bread alone. But we do this a lot, especially at breakfast. We might grab a bagel and a banana. We might grab oatmeal, a piece of toast. And again, it's not that you can't have those things, but I want you to think about putting things on them that help your blood sugar not spike as much. Because we know when we eat straight carbs, it would send my glucose monitor straight up. So you eat an apple or blueberries, even if it's good for you, like it's fruit, it still is going to spike your blood sugar. So I want you to think of here's some examples of things you can do. You could put peanut butter on an apple. You could put chia seeds or flaxseed in your oatmeal because those are fats and they're going to help reduce that spike. So those are some good things. Just don't eat your carbs naked. Mix them in with either a protein or a fat. And number 4 is really important to me. It might not make a huge difference on your glucose monitor, but what I saw is when I started my day with at least 30 grams of protein, so typically it'll be a couple of eggs, maybe a protein shake, something like that. What I noticed is one, You don't have the big spike like you typically will with the standard American breakfast, like cereal, toast, the bagel. It's not going to give you that big spike. The other thing it really does is it's going to help you be more satisfied throughout the day. So, one, you're going to snack a lot less. And two, you're not going to have as many cravings. Protein is one of the things that really helps make you more satisfied throughout the day. It also has a thermogenic effect, meaning that when I eat protein, it takes my body about 25% of those calories to break down the protein so my body can use it. So if I eat 100 calories of protein, typically it's going to take my body 25 of those calories just to break it down. And then it has 75 calories to use as energy. It's much higher than your protein much higher than your carbs or your fat. So think about protein in the morning and at least 30 grams. My last thing here is to walk around the block after dinner. Really, you can do this after any meal, but dinner is when we typically will eat dinner. And a lot of times we go to the couch, right? And we sit and then we go to bed. So I really want you to think about taking a quick walk after dinner. What I will tell you is it doesn't have to be fast. It doesn't have to be super long. I can do a walk around our block in about 10 minutes. I don't go fast. My dogs, Ruby and Zoe, love this new habit. So I would just encourage you because, again, I tested this and so many times I would see my levels like at 110 before I would start. They would be down to 85 after I walked around the block. So just a quick, easy hack that can make such a big difference. Because remember, two things have to be true in order for you to burn fat. You have to burn through all the glycogen in your muscles and your liver, and your insulin levels have to be low. So walking is one of the best ways to do that. The other thing is I live in Colorado. It's winter. It's cold outside. So there are nights when it's snowy or icy that we don't go outside. But some things that you can do is vacuum. I vacuum my house. I put away my laundry. Things that just they're not hard, but they require some movement after a meal. I work a lot from home as well. And if I can be on a conference call and just be walking around my house, I'll do that, especially if it's after I've eaten breakfast or lunch. Because anytime you eat, it's going to typically give you some sort of rise. And again, it depends on your macronutrients, how much. Fats give you very little rise in your glucose levels, if any at all. Proteins give you some, and then our carbs give the most. So anytime I would eat something, I typically try and just walk around the house and talk at the same time versus just sitting at my desk. So some really easy things, you guys, that you can start to incorporate. They're free. They don't take a lot of effort, but they do take intentionality. And these are things that you can make big changes in your health. Again, start with veggies. Whether you're at a restaurant, you're at home, if you're cooking like me and that's your problem time, cut a pepper, cut a cucumber, something. And then we're also going to just do apple cider vinegar. Give that a try. Or berberine was the supplement. Don't eat naked carbs. You're going to put some protein or fat on those. You're going to start your first meal with at least 30 grams of protein, and then you're going to walk after meals. So give them a try. I would love for you to send me a message and let me know what you think. Thanks so much for joining Be the Person.